Okay, right, we are going to look at the sine and cosine rule, just a recap of the things we've done on there. So you can refer to this video when you're working, it might help you. There might be some examples of questions you're a bit unsure of, so this might help you, okay? Right, so just to recap the sine and cosine rule, what they are. The sine rule we use for pairs, when we have a pair of angles and a pair of sides. Now previously I've only given it to you in this form. If you ever see it written, you might see it written in this form with the equals c over sine c. That's fine because we just label ours a and b. Okay, so you can ignore the sine c bit, but if you do see it, don't be perturbed by it. Okay, so the sine rule, when you have a pair of angles and a pair of sides and you're trying to find one of those missing things. So you've got one side and you're trying to find another side, and then you've got two angles, or if you've got one angle, you're trying to find the other angle and you've got two sides. Okay, this way up if you're trying to find a length or a side, which is the same thing, and this way up if you're trying to find an angle. Okay, that will make all the rearranging much easier, so please remember that. Okay, right, so the cosine rule, when you have an odd one out, so there would be one angle which either you're trying to find or you've been given, and three sides. Okay, this way if you're trying to find a side, this way if you're trying to find an angle. Please remember you have to learn all of these formulae. Okay, you could learn just this one for the cosine rule, just the side version, and be able to rearrange it to give you this. However, I would say in the pressure of an exam, it is much more sensible if you can already know these off by heart. Okay, because then you don't have the pressure of having to rearrange without making a mistake. Okay, please remember that I always say we like to fly with BA, British Airways, which means that big letters are angles. Okay, big letters are angles, little letters are sides. Now that means that the big angle A is opposite little side A. Okay, so if you're going to call this angle here A, this has to be little a. If you're going to call this side little b, that means this angle has to be big B, etc, etc. Okay, so, and I would always advise, no matter however they give you the question, however they label it, whatever you want to find, you call A. Okay, so if it's a side, it will be little a. If it's an angle, it'll be big A. Okay, hold that thought. Make sure all of that's down so we can go on to the examples. Okay, right, here we go. Example number 1. I just said that whatever you're trying to find, we want to label A. So here we're trying to find this side. We need that, it's a side, so it has to be a little letter, so we'll call that little a. If that's little a, the opposite angle has to be big A. There's big A. Okay, we've only got an angle and a side left, so we'll call this big angle, this angle big B, and the opposite side little b. Okay, we have got a pair of angles and a pair of sides. It doesn't matter that we haven't found this side, there's a pair of sides and a pair of angles, so we are using the sine rule. That's your first thought process. Okay, we are finding a side, so we need the sine rule, this version, A over sine A equals B over sine B. Okay, then it is just a case of plonking in your letters. Okay, so A is x, so we've got x over sine, which has to come with an angle, our angle 75, big A, equals little b, which is 8, over sine big B, which is 42. Okay, now to get x on its own, x is being divided by sine 75, so to reverse that, we've got to times both sides by sine 75. That's like when you're solving an equation. So we've got that x is 8 over sine 42 times 75. Now be very careful when you're typing this into your calculator. Your sine 75 needs to come back up to the proper line. It doesn't want to be on the bottom here. Okay, it can be on the top, but it can't ever be on the bottom. Okay, no extra things on the bottom. So we're going to type this in. We've got 8 over sine 42 times sine 75. Look at how I've done it on my calculator. My times sine 75 is next door to it. Okay, press equals, and you should get 11.5484 blah blah blah. We'll give it to 3 sig fig because they nearly always ask you for 3 sig fig. So it's 11.5 centimeters. If you are not getting this value when you are typing it exactly like that into a calculator, please could you email me, because your calculator will be in the wrong setting, okay? Email me and I will help you change it. You need to have a little D here, D for degree, okay? And if it's not coming out right, that'll probably be why. Okay, right, example number 2. So whatever we're trying to find, we need to be called A. So here we're trying to find an angle. So I need that angle to be called big A because it's an angle. So that has to be big A, which means this side has to be little a because it's opposite. This is big B, this is little b. Okay, we have a pair of angles and a pair of sides. So we are using the sine rule again. Now this time we are trying to find an angle, so we want to use the sine rule the other way up. So sine A over little a is sine B over little b, okay? And again, now it's just a case of substitution. So sine x over 12 equals sine 44 over 15. Same thing again, we want sine x on its own. So to reverse the divide by 12, I have to times both sides by 12. So I get sine x is sine 44 over 15 times by 12. Okay, now we can plonk that into your calculator. So sine 44 over 15 to the side times by 12 gives us that sine x is 0.555766 blah 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 blah. Obviously that angle is not 0.557 blah, okay, because it's too small, and that's because it's sine x. So to reverse the sine, we can do sine to the minus 1 of whatever we just got, sine to the minus 1 of our answer, okay? So shift sine, and our answer, that's much better, gives us an angle of 33.76 blah 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 blah, which is 33.8 degrees to 3 sig b. Okay, right, example number 3. Hope you're not getting tired. Off we go. So what are we trying to find? We're trying to find a side, so we want that to be a little a, which means this has to be big A. Doesn't matter about the other sides, so we'll call that angle B, that little side C, big C, little c. Okay, this time we do not have pairs. We have 3 sides, even though we're trying to find that side, 3 sides, 1 angle, odd one out, okay, which means we are using the cosine rule. We are trying to find a side. So if we're trying to find a side, we want this cosine rule. A squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. We've already labelled the triangle, so the rest is easy peasy. So a is x, so we've got x squared equals b, which is 9, 9 squared, plus c, which is 11, 11 squared, minus 2 times, because that's what they mean, 2bc means 2 times b times c. So 2 times 9 times 11 times cos of our angle A, cos 36. Okay? You can type that all into your calculator exactly as it appears. 9 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 9 times 11 times cos 36. That tells us that x squared is 41.814635 blah de blah de blah. That is the value of x squared. We don't want the value of x squared, we want the value of x. So to find x, we're just going to square root the answer. And we square root answer, and you get 6.4664 blah blah blah, 6.47 meters to 3 sig big. Now a handy, well, I don't know if this is handy actually, it might be handier up here with your sine rules. Your longest side is always opposite your biggest angle, okay? So here, 15 is opposite 44, 12 is obviously shorter than 15, so this angle here has to be smaller than 44, which it was, so that's good. Okay, we'd expect this to be the smallest angle in a triangle, because obviously the rest of these other 2 angles have to make up 180, take away 36. So we'd expect this side to be the smallest, and it is. So it makes sense. Okay. Right, final one. We've got 3 sides and we want to try and find this angle. We're trying to find the angle, so that needs to be big A. Okay, that's big A, this is little a. Doesn't matter where you put your B and your C, they can go wherever you like. Okay, we've got 3 sides, 1 angle. The angle is the odd one out, so we are using cosine. Okay, if we want to find the angle, the cosine rule is cos A equals B squared plus C squared minus A squared over 2BC. Again, chuck it in. So cos x equals 10 squared plus 8 squared minus 11 squared over 2 times 8 times 10. Okay, we can plonk that in. So 10 squared plus 8 squared minus 11 squared over 2 times 8 times 10. Ooh, gives us 43 over 160, which is 0.26875. We want x on its own, remember? So we do cos to the minus 1 of the answer, which is 74.41, blah, blah, blah. So it's 74, can everyone see still? 74.4 degrees. Okay? Enjoy.